Can you guys see me yet? Are we live? Does anybody see me yet? Yay! We're live and you can see me. I'm so happy. Can you see me? Can you see me? We're here. I'm so happy to see you guys. Yay! Welcome to Cosmic Comfort. My friends who are joining from all over this beautiful earth today. And my team and I set this up today really as a gift, as an offering, as a sacred space for us to be together, just for us to be together. So I have my remote team working from the comfort of their homes and their kitties, supporting us here. Alexis, I'm not sure if Hannah's with us today, but I'm so grateful for our virtual team who is supporting us. And I want to thank you for being here. I'm doing really good today. Oh, and look at that. Lena Quartz stayed up in the UK to be here live with us now. What time is it? Is it 11 p.m. UK time? Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm super happy to see you. And today's session is really going to be, as the name suggests, just an opportunity for us to bring some comfort to each other. And I have some thoughts I want to share. It's Jennifer Brennan's birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Jennifer. Very, very, very grateful to see you. So we are all, oh yay, Hannah's there and Claire is there too. So thank you to the remote team SG. We sent each other pictures yesterday of our cats and our loved ones and where we are working from. It was kind of nice to see each other because we're missing each other. We're a close team and this isn't easy for us either. So I'm going to start with a smudge and offer a little bit of that to you too. And I want to invite you to take a really nice deep breath. Heather says that her daughter Willow wants me to talk to her. How's it going, Willow? How are you doing today on this Thursday, Willow? I'm glad that you're here. And you are very welcome to bring in your friends and family and children and four-leggeds and everybody that you're quarantining with. Everybody's welcome here. This is kid-friendly. This really is just a chance for us to get together. So bring them on in. Because we see you. And, you know, the reality is none of us has any real answers right now. But today isn't about answers. Today is about intention. That's going to be the focus. If you want to know what kind of the theme of today's Cosmic Comfort session is, it's intention. If there has ever been a time in our world for us to focus on intention, it's now. And if you've been with me for a while, then you've heard me talk about intention for years, right? Like intention, set intentions. What are you intending? What are you calling in? What do you want to experience? But I think we're seeing in real time the power of intention. And I will tell you this too. The way intentions work is you set an intention today, for example, okay, April 2nd. They don't unfold right away. Intentions create like they create a frequency. They create a little message out to the universe that says, Deborah Wilcox would like to experience health. Okay, so then your intention creates a frequency, goes out into the energetic ethers, and it finds similar frequencies. And it connects to those frequencies, and it returns those frequencies to you. And that's how energy works. And so given that, and this is really important for you to hear, this is energetics 101, okay? Given that that's how it works, that you set an intention today, that it aligns with other frequencies that are similar and returns that intention back to you, given the reality of that, what happens in our collective experience and in our individual experiences over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months, the rest of this year, is a function of what we are co-creating now. okay? And no matter how young you are watching, if you're 5 years old, if you're 7 years old, if you're 10 years old, you are not too young to learn this. Your thoughts create your reality. And so it's really important for you to become aware of what you're thinking about and what you're setting intentions for. You can think of an intention, by the way, like a wish, okay, for what you want to see, experience, or feel. An intention is a wish for what you want to see, experience, or feel at this time or in the future, okay? And I'm so glad, like, to know that you're there with your partners. And here's the thing. I mean, I've been beating the drum for 10 years now, almost, as Sage Goddess, saying, we're going to have a spiritual awakening. There's going to be a shift. We're all going to be transforming. We're all going to be becoming aware of the energies and moving through these different dimensional experiences. And now we're here. And so this is the time. This is the time when we can learn the power of intention. And so when you ask me how I'm doing, and I say, you know what, I am doing pretty well, all things considered. And my focus, my exquisite focus right now is on tomorrow and the rest of April and May and June and the holidays next year. Because I know in this moment, I need to pay attention to what I want to experience and make sure that I'm vibrating there, because it's gonna, that intention is gonna send out its little energetic car, and it's gonna find on that energy freeway, that energy highway, another car just like it and return it back to me. So if my focus is on fear and sickness and worst case scenarios, then that's the little car that I'm gonna send out energetically. And by the way, this isn't like woo-woo or something that Athena made up. This is particle physics. Okay, I mean, this is science. And I think we're finally at a place where we can say this is how it works. So if you're ready to take a little bit of control of the situation to the extent that we can, right? What you can control in every moment, there's two things: your intention and your attention. Where you put your attention is like a magnifying glass. It gets bigger, right? Have you ever noticed that? If you start to think about what you're afraid of, have you ever noticed that, like, the fear gets bigger? And conversely, if you start to focus on the joy that you feel, or how happy you are, or the peace that you're experiencing, that gets bigger too. So your attention is your wish, and your attention is your magnifying glass. And so we're going to work with those two things today. And I really hope that's helpful for you. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to say today, to kind of get us started, and again, I want to thank you for joining from wherever you are in the world. I want to tell you this will be recorded. You're welcome to share it if there's somebody in your life who can't be live right now, but you think, oh, they would probably benefit from hearing this. You're welcome to share it. It's free. They can watch it later. I was a teacher for a long time. Before I founded Sage Goddess, I was a professor for 15 years, and I'm trained as a teacher. And in teacher training, what you learn is this concept of a schema. And I'm going to explain to you right now why this experience is so hard for us. Are you ready? I'm going to break it on down, because I think the more you can understand why this experience is difficult for people, the more compassionate an earth partner you'll be able to be to others around you, because I think compassion is really, really important. So as a teacher, what you learn is that students learn through what we call schema. That's why teachers use examples and metaphors, So if they're teaching you about one animal, they might say, well, that animal is like this other animal. And so even if you don't know what the new animal's about, if you know what the other animal that they're comparing it to is like, then you go, oh, okay, so it's kind of like a horse, or it's kind of like a dog, or it's kind of like a this, right? That's why teachers use metaphors and examples, because they're trying to give you a schema to understand what they're teaching you. The challenge for humanity right now, you guys, if I can boil it down, is we have no schema for this. We can say, well, and you've even seen it on the news, like, right, well, this is kind of like 9/11, this is kind of like this, right? People are trying to create schema to help us understand the essence of our experience. There is no schema. It's also why it's really important for you to be patient with everybody. I even look at our world leaders, and I have a lot of compassion right now. Do I think everybody's doing the right thing all the time? No, I don't. And it's really easy to sit where I am and be judgmental and say, well, they should have done this and they should have done that. Nobody has a schema for this. It is unlike anything that we've experienced before. And so what does that mean? It means rather than thinking our way through this or figuring it out, we're going to be feeling our way through this and intuiting it out. We're going to have to lean in and feel and sense and connect and have compassion and move slowly and take our time and be patient with this process because we don't have a schema. Does that make sense? So be patient with yourself. You know, when you feel anxious, be really gentle with yourself right now. You don't have a framework. You don't have, there's not anything else I can point to and say, well, it's kind of like this. What it also means is we are going to get through this together. It's going to be me relying on you and you relying on me making good choices in my life that may ultimately impact your experience of this process too. We are all in this together. We will move through this together. And my hope is that in the future, we won't need this as a schema, you know, that this will be a point in time experience. But I want you to have compassion for people. People are doing the best they can to manage this process right now. And so it's really easy to say, well, you should be doing it this way, or you should be quarantining that way, or your kids should be doing this, or your parenting should look like that. I think however you choose to get through this process right now is perfect. And I want to tell you, great job, especially those of you who have big families at home right now, families that have unique needs right now. I just want to tell you, I see you, I take my hat off to you. You're doing the best you can. And that's what we're going to do in an experience where we don't have a schema or a precedent to understand. So you might get judgment some places. You aren't going to get judgment here. You're doing the best you can, and it's great, whatever it looks like. That's really, really true. Okay. The other thing I want to tell you before I move into our meditation for today. And by the way, if you have questions, feel free to pop them into the feed. And I certainly will leave some time at the end of our experience together for some questions too, in case there are things on your mind that you would like to have my perspective about. I'm more than happy to share. You also have to be aware that this is grief. A lot of what you're feeling, which may seem like agitation or frustration or anger or sadness or confusion, grief wears a lot of different masks. Grief looks like a lot of different things. And yeah, we'll come back to some tips and tools and different things that might be helpful for you to work with right now at the end of our time together. Grief has many faces. And a lot of people are grieving a lot of different things. They're grieving not having a graduation. They're grieving losing a loved one. They're grieving, not being able to work or work in the same way that they used to before. Grieving not being able to see grandparents and older members of our families because we're taking good care of them too, right? So I want to take a moment, if you're willing, and it might be good for you to close your eyes while we do this, okay? You don't have to close them for very long, but take a minute once you take a deep breath here and exhale out. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to bring your attention to your heart for just a moment. And I want you to ask yourself, what grief or what grieving are you experiencing right now? And it could be a lot of things. And remember, the littles are grieving too. They miss their friends at school, right? Maybe they miss their programs at school, or maybe they miss their teachers. Maybe they're not, my daughter was supposed to graduate in a few weeks from 5th grade. I want you to ask yourself, where in your heart are you grieving something through this experience? Where has there been a loss? Maybe it's just being able to go to the grocery store and get some ingredients to cook a recipe that you felt inspired to try, right? I see you, Michelle. She said her aunt passed the other day and she couldn't go to the funeral, right? And that is its own form of grief. So connecting to your heart space, grieving the loss of control, right? EA's daughter's DC trip got canceled, right? All these different things. Freedom, right? And again, remember, the younger ones are grieving. The older ones are grieving. We're all grieving, right? And if it feels good, put it in the feed. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I will tell you something. Getting it out helps. Sharing it with somebody else so it's not just in your head and in your heart helps. That's why communication is so critical. It's why I'm coming live to you today, so that we can open up this container and share with each other a little bit, right? Right? Denise lost her beautiful cat, Nala. And I'm seeing your heart today. That's a very hard loss, right? And so take another deep breath in and exhale out. And I want you to, you can put your arms around your heart if you want to, touch your heart space, or just imagine. I want you to send as much love as you can to your own heart space today. I want you just to beam love to yourself right this minute. And maybe while you're at it, send a little bit of compassion to yourself today. Send a little bit of forgiveness to yourself today. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? I want you to send that love into your own heart space today. A lot of times we think somebody else is going to make us feel better, right? But the reality is you need you right now. So let's tell our hearts, and the little boys and little girls inside of us too, right? Because we all have a little boy or a little girl inside. Let's tell ourselves in this moment that we are staying the course, that we are committing to making an even more beautiful reality for ourselves and each other on the other side of this experience. You can remind yourself that you're not going anywhere. You're going to be right here, and that you're going to be patient. You're going to keep your heart open. You're going to acknowledge your feelings and make space for them. And then if you have it to give, I would love for you to beam that same love, that same compassion, that same connection out to everyone else who's here live right now. And you're seeing their comments, right? So let's beam all that love back out to each other in this moment. I'm seeing you, you're seeing me. Because feeling your feelings is really important. Asking your family members, how are you feeling? What's coming up for you? Sharing what you're feeling. One of the things you do not want to do energetically or spiritually is push this down, right? You got to let the feelings emerge. You don't want to live in your feelings all the time, but you do want to create space for your feelings to come forward, right? Taking again that deep breath there. And I'm just sending you every speck, every ounce, every kernel of love from my heart to yours today. I'm just opening my heart wide and sending everything that I have access to you today. Feels good, doesn't it? If you're a Reiki practitioner, please feel free to send Reiki as well, which is sort of a universal frequency of love that we can all benefit from, even if you don't know the system. Those symbols are very, very, very powerful. So good. So, we don't have a schema. We have to be patient with ourselves. We all have littles in our lives, or a little person inside of us who feels confused and maybe scared and quite possibly sad. So let's let ourselves have our feelings. Let's process those feelings and share those feelings, because it instantly feels better once they're out. When we keep our feelings to ourselves, they get big, you know what I mean? And we start overreacting, and it's like, it feels so good just to say, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And we can all bounce back to you and say, I see you, I see that. Or, here's where you can be a little bit more compassionate with yourself. Or, oh, I have that feeling too, and then you're not alone. It's very important. So one more breath in. It's true. We're all working in this together. Okay. One of the gifts of this time, and let's talk a little bit about the blessings of this experience, because I do think that there are blessings and will continue to be blessings, and I want to be a voice of raising that perspective too, because we could sit here all day long and talk about the challenges of what's going on, but I don't think you need me to talk about that. I would like to talk about the blessings for just a minute, because there are quite a few. My personal perspective on this, and if you read my blog, you've already seen my perspective. And if you didn't read the blog, I've been writing some pretty, I think, interesting blog pieces that you can find at sagegoddess.com under our blog there, and Team SG can link for you if you'd like to read more if you're a reader. I'm a reader, so I like to read blogs. But one of the reasons I think this is happening now is that our Earth is under an immense amount of stress. And it's not difficult to understand that when you look back over the last 12 to 18 months. The fires in Australia, the fires in Brazil, there was sort of building of this critical mass of energy that ultimately wasn't really in service to the collective good. Certain people may have been benefiting during certain times over the last 12 to 18 months, right? And all of us were enjoying certain parts of our lives in certain aspects. But there's been this kind of rising, building tension under the surface, and our Earth is strong and all at once very delicate. There's a delicate balance to this ecosystem that is worthy of our acknowledgement and worthy of our respect. And so I think, my honest perspective is, I think this is happening as a global reset. I really do. And that doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean it's good for us to have to go through this. That doesn't mean that it's okay for anyone to lose a loved one. I'm not saying that this is exactly how I wish it was unfolding, because we're all in this together, and we're all vulnerable to it in our own ways. But I will say, I think our Earth had kind of gotten to her tipping point, and she needed a break. And I find this a fascinating way for our Earth to do this. If you think about it, how else would you get a planet this size to slow down? Have you thought about that? Imagine, take a moment with me, okay? Take a moment with me for just a second. Imagine that instead of being who you are, imagine being Earth for a moment. Step into her shoes for just a minute. Okay? Allow yourself to feel that energy, the energy of this absolute planet. The waterways, the land masses, the air and the air quality, the pressure, right? The sheer mass of energy across this planet, right? It's really true. And imagine how she felt. And imagine, if you can, how she's feeling now. It's interesting, isn't it? She's breathing. There aren't as many feet moving. There aren't as many, fumes being released into the air and toxins into her environment. There's less traffic across all parts of her right now. And you can start to feel the breath, right, of the planet, the breathing that happens. And there's evidence of this, right, in different waterways and different parts of the earth where flowers are blooming that never bloomed before. Fish are coming back to certain, waterways where fish hadn't been for, however long. We're seeing signs of her return, right? If you can, and I know it's really hard. Like I said, I'm not expecting the sun, moon, and stars. But one of the things when you're really feeling this and really looking inward and saying, this is doing this to me, and this is taking this to me, and this means this for me, one of the ways you can feel better, and I promise you this, if you'll just go with me, is try being her for a minute instead. Because if you think about it, that's your mother. We are her children. And in a lot of cases, we didn't take as good a care of her as we needed to. And so I know that this is very challenging for all of us. But when I stop and breathe as her, when I stop and feel into this as her, I do feel this sense of like, right? And I don't think it's a permanent pause. I don't think this is a forever thing. But one of the things that I've been noticing too over the last couple of days when I go outside, she's still blooming. She's still expanding. Her trees are growing. Her flowers are thriving. Her skies are opening, right? And she's again, the lungs of our planet are starting to breathe again. And I think it's really important, if it's possible in your heart, to celebrate that today. That is one of the ways in which I think this is a gift. The other way I think this is a gift, and I don't know what your experience has been like, so I'm really just sharing my own personal experience today, hoping it's helpful for you. I'm feeling a lot gentler. I mean, I try to be a gentle person in my life anyway, but I am a double fire sign, and I get kind of feisty and spicy, and I'm human. I've been slowing down a little bit. I've been feeling more gentle. In areas where I've had conflict in relationships, I've been inspired to be the first one to reach out and say, I'd like to make that right. If you have been in conflict with people, this is a really good opportunity to open your heart, see where your part in that conflict is, because in every conflict there's two parties doing things, right? And maybe reach out and say to that person or that situation, or even just send energy to it and say, you know what? I'm going to take this moment to breathe with the planet and maybe be a little more gentle, be more compassionate, and try to open up those lines of communication and healing and forgiveness too. And I've been seeing myself take the initiative there. Now, not everybody's going to become gentler through this. Not everybody's going to become kinder through this. Not everybody's going to want to heal relationships where there's been stress and strain. But I'm feeling it because I'm looking around the planet right now, and I see everyone as a brother and a sister. And I want everybody to make it through this experience healthy and well and grounded. And it doesn't matter whether that's a person that I'm in a close, intimate relationship with or someone I've never even met before. I find myself with a delivery person who'll come to the house, just thinking as they're walking away, like, God bless him, may he be well, may he walk in beauty, please send angels to surround him. I can't say that I always did that with delivery people. Did you? I mean, I was grateful, but I didn't literally stand there and watch a man I've never met before and think to myself, please surround him with angels today. Or, I've never in my life sat and imagined a hospital like I do right now. I've been holding prayer space for our local hospitals, and imagine that hospital and every doctor and nurse in that hospital and ask for them to be surrounded by angels. That's not something I did on a daily basis before. Some people are reconnecting with their parents after having, a period of challenge or struggle. They're reconnecting with siblings, or they're reconnecting with, they're healing relationships with ex-spouses. And I had one friend who told me she's coming to a new agreement about how to handle custody of their children through this, because they're opening their hearts to each other and starting to feel a little bit more like compassion, because they're realizing, wow, you know what? I really want him to be okay, and I want just different things, right? That's a gift, you guys. I have to say, I think that's a gift. And if you have the capacity to do that, again, I'm not asking you to go out of your way if it doesn't resonate with you, but for me, it's been bringing me to a new level of tenderness and generosity and wanting to heal relationships, because that's part of what we're seeing. Gaia is healing, and in the process, she's reminding us you can heal too, right? You can heal too. I'm noticing that in our family, we're cooking more. I've been baking bread every day. Got to share some bread with my parents today, which was very sweet. I can't say that I've baked a lot of loaves of bread in my life, right? So that's new. So you can even look at just like micro examples of it to macro examples. Every single meal, every single day is with my kids and my husband. I work really hard. That was not the case every day for a long time. We love you. And Sandra McClure, I love you. And all of you at Torrance Memorial. No, seriously, every morning when I wake up, I call in Torrance Memorial Hospital, Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and Little Company of Mary Hospital, which are my local hospitals. And I literally ask angels to surround every doctor and nurse and every worker in those places as a sacred space. And so you can do that. It takes 2 seconds, right? It's not anything difficult for you. So I don't know, those are just some of the things that come to mind for me as ways in which this is a gift. And so if you can look, I don't know what the gift looks like for you, but like Adelie said, I'm starting to like my ex again, right? Aren't you? And even looking back at your life in places where you think, oh, that person did me wrong, or that shouldn't have happened, or I don't like that person. Aren't you kind of feeling a little bit like maybe you want to reach out to them? Maybe you want to, not to put the relationship back together, but at least to tell them, you know what? I'm sorry that happened, and now I really want you to know I'm sending you love and healing today. That's a gift ultimately to them and to you, right? We love you. Those of you who are on the front medical lines, I just want you to know our hearts are with you. And there really are people like us who wake up every morning and ask for your protection and your safety, so that because we need you through this and we need you on the other side too. Nancy says nothing's changed for her. She's still going to work every day, which is great too, Nancy. But I wonder if, even if your time isn't different, I wonder if your heart's different. Right? Like I have a lot of friends who are essential workers. A lot. But they're softening a little bit. They're eating at home more a little bit. They're spending a little bit more time with their families, right? They're seeing how this is affecting a global community, and they're having more compassion in that space too, right? Oh, and I mean, don't even get me started on the grocery store workers, right? How much we love you and appreciate you. Again, front line. Anybody who's on the front line, delivery people, truck drivers, for goodness sake. Beam out love to everybody who's driving trucks right now to try and get you what you need in just the perfect time, as quickly as they can, right? Yeah. So. I think even if you're an essential worker, I think you can open your heart in a new way. And again, every morning, every night, send love to your mother, who is this planet. Because we need her to make it. We need her to be healthy and well, and not just for us, but for the generations that are coming ahead of us. That's what we're really thinking about right now, right? Okay. So I want to do a meditation with you, if you're open to that, for just a few minutes. Carolyn said she had the best patience today. I love that. Dr. Carolyn in the house. So thankful. Of course, it's a great question. Candace Mills said, with the grief, could that be why so much deep shadow is coming up? Grief doesn't come up as sadness most of the time. It comes up as rage, and it comes up as anger, and it comes up as you. And, rage looks like some of the darkest emotions. And that's why when people are acting out, and when they're negative, and when they're projecting and judging right now, take a moment and remember, pain doesn't always look like pain. Pain has a lot of faces. And people who are unkind, impatient, are not gentle, those are not people who are, experiencing joy in their life. Those are people who are hurting really badly. And when you're hurting as a human being, a lot of times you're like, I want other people to feel this pain. And so you project out, even on a subconscious level. So be really aware that people being tense with you, terse with you, frustrated with you, sometimes maybe about you. A lot of times right now it's not about you. And so if you can stop and say, I think that person might be hurting, and I'm just going to give them some time and some space to move through that. Not take it personally, but just, people who, hurt people hurt people. Have you heard that saying? When people are hurt, they hurt others. It's not healed people that hurt people. It's hurt people that hurt people. And even in my own life, when I've been in pain in the past, I can see how I caused pain for others through my unhealed and unresolved emotions, right? And so I think it's good to notice where you might be doing that and take some responsibility for that, and then check it. You know what I mean? Like, notice when these feelings are coming up, and before you get to that point where it's like boiling over, do the meditation that we're going to do right now. Okay? It's true. Okay, so let's roll our shoulders back. I want you to bring your energy into present time. It helps if you can have your hands open with your palms facing up. That's a good receptive position for energy work. And we're just going to do a brief meditation right now. We're not raising energy. We're just going to relax and soften our bodies for right now. It's true. Well, keep in mind that people who are grieving oftentimes hurt the ones closest to them the most because you're safe, in theory, with those people, right? So it's really true. Create space for people right now. Ask them how they're feeling, and then if they're not communicative, give them a little space. Because again, people are working through this the best they can with the tools they have and the awareness level that they're at this time in their life. They're doing the best they can. Okay. So I want to begin at the very top of your head, what we know is the crown chakra in energy work, but let's just say top of the head because some of you may not be familiar with those terms. So I want you to bring your attention to the top of your head, and then over your forehead, bring your attention to your eyes, to your ears. And I want you to guide this part of your body, the top of your head, your eyes, your ears, your nose, to relax and to soften. I want you to soften the muscles in your jaw. Make sure you're not clenching your teeth. I want you to relax the muscles in your neck, in the back of your neck, and the front of your neck too. We don't often really bring awareness to each one of the separate parts of our body and the muscles that might be tense right now because we're kind of like this right now. So this is an opportunity, this meditation, to just soften, relax, and surrender into this moment. And stay with your breath. I want you to take a moment to give thanks to your head, to your eyes, to your nose, and your mouth, and your ears, and your sweet little cheeks. Giving thanks to your teeth, to your neck and your throat. And I want you to imagine every cell in this part of your body opening and receiving absolute perfect health. Every cell in your head and your brain. Imagine health just covering every part of your skin, covering your eyes, covering your lips and your mouth. Softening, relaxing, allowing, surrendering. Releasing all tension in your head and your neck. And giving thanks. You know, gratitude for your body is such a powerful thing. I'm thankful for my eyes and all that I can see. If you have ever lost your vision, which I have, you know, you have extra gratitude for that particular sense, although all your senses are precious. Gratitude to your mouth and your sense of taste and your nose, your sense of smell. Now I want you to relax, soften, and surrender in your shoulders, releasing tension there. I hold a lot of tension in my shoulders because I'll find myself doing this, you know, and so I have to remind myself to roll my shoulders back, which opens the diaphragm, allows for easier passage of air through the body, through the lungs. Relaxing, softening, allowing through the shoulders, sending love to your upper arms and your elbows, to your forearms and your wrists and your fingers, relaxing, softening every muscle. Imagining every cell in your upper body opening to receive health and wellness. I want you to bring your attention to your heart. I want you to open your heart space. Give thanks for your heart, how it beats and pumps blood through your body to keep you alive and functioning and well. Relax, soften, surrender in your heart. If your heart feels tense or closed or hurt in any way from trauma, I want you to imagine softening and sort of massaging your heart and sending love into your heart space today, releasing anger, releasing frustration, releasing fear, and letting all of those emotions just trickle out and replacing all of those lower vibration feelings with love and comfort and connection. And if you can just let yourself be here now, that's good enough. Right here with us, you are connected, you are safe, you are in a space of comfort. So for this moment, allow yourself just to receive this energy. And if you have tension in these muscles in the upper body, really consciously release that tension right now and let everything soften and relax. I want you to bring your attention to your digestive system, your upper intestine and your lower intestine, giving thanks to them for processing the food that you eat. I notice my tension right now during this process in my digestion. When I'm under stress, my digestive system kind of shuts down. And so hydrating is really important. Massaging your stomach, that might seem weird to you, but it actually feels really good. You can massage your stomach. Trying to eat as well as you can. I know it's difficult at certain points to get the healthiest, freshest food. But if you're noticing digestive changes, it's a really good reminder to you, I think, that the digestive system is really the centerpiece of our entire, human body systems. And so if you're like me and it kind of shows up there, let's soften, relax, and allow through the digestive system right now. Let's call in blessings for our digestive system and tract, asking that the food that we eat be digested perfectly and evenly and easily, so that we can receive all of the nutrients from our food to support our physical health and well-being. And just bless those intestines. Thank them for the work that they do to support your health. And now I want you to do the exact same thing, but on the back side, through your spine and your upper back and lower back. I want you to relax, soften, and surrender through all of the muscles of your back. I want you to feel that spinal cord and kind of imagine just softening, surrendering, allowing, and connecting through the spinal column. Remember that the spinal column energetically is known as the sushumna, and it's the house of your chakras, really, because if you think about it, your spinal column connects to your crown chakra at the top of your head all the way down to the root chakra near your perineum. So that's where all of your physical chakras reside. And so it's really important to once a day just visualize your spinal column, visualize perfect alignment there. Let all of the energy centers that live in that central channel open and receive. And I want you to imagine again every cell now from the top of your head through your digestive system and all the muscles of your back opening to receive perfect health, equilibrium, and well-being. Release any tension. Notice where it might be stuck or stored. I was having some shoulder pain earlier, and it's seriously, I can barely even feel it now. I was going to take an Advil, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to see how I feel after Cosmic Comfort today. It's a fun experiment, right? So I didn't take anything, and I can't even feel it. And earlier today, I had a hard time lifting my shoulder. So your chakras are the centers of energetic flow in your body. So they regulate all of the inflow and outflow of energy through your physical body systems. So that's why paying attention to them is really important. And keep in mind, too, it's fascinating. If you want to know more about chakras, by the way, I wrote the book, The Ultimate Guide to Chakras. You can find it on Amazon. It's very affordable. And that's a good deep dive on the chakras. But keep in mind, what's interesting to me is your solar plexus chakra, which is right above your belly button, sits in the center of your digestive system. But energetically, it governs your sense of personal power. So stay with me on this for a second. Visualize it. You can close your eyes if it's easier. Your center of personal power, how powerful or how powerless you feel, actually sits in your digestive system. So if you think about it, when you feel powerless over something, what happens to your digestive process? It's interrupted, right? Because that energy and that physical body system are connected. When you feel powerful and connected and in control, if that's the good thing, right? Yeah, I know. I didn't take it, you guys. Don't worry. I didn't. But anyway, when you feel out of control, your digestive system is off. When you feel in control, your digestive system tends to be functioning really well. Have you noticed it? So that's the connection between energy and body systems. And so when you start to see the connection, it's like, oh, I get it now. My digestive system is off because I feel out of control. And so one of the things you can control is attention and intention. That's why I'm teaching you this today. So when you feel like your digestive system is off, go back to what you can control, what you're thinking about, focusing on, looking at, and what you want to create, experience, and manifest. And that will get you back to a place where you feel centered, literally, and that you have your sense of personal power and well-being back. It's so interesting, the connections, isn't it? Now I want you to bring your attention to your procreative systems. The female procreative system, the male procreative system. This is your sacral chakra. This is your center of passion and creation. And I want you to relax, soften, and surrender there. And then this energy wraps around the back to your lower back. So if you've been feeling a lot of sciatic issues, again, this is around, do you feel inspired? Do you feel optimistic? All of those energies that come through, do you feel passionate, or do you feel disconnected from your passion, disconnected from your inspiration? And if you're having like lower back issues, that could be related to that sacral chakra and an imbalance there that can be corrected again by just bringing your attention there and being mindful of what's happening, and then softening, surrendering, and relaxing into that energy. And then your root chakra, which if you're sitting right now, that's your root. That's your base chakra. That's your first chakra. That chakra is your seat of home. That's your seat of belonging. That I belong, I'm safe, right? That's all of the belonging and safety energy is in your root chakra. And so if you're having like really intense pain at the bottom of your spine, that sometimes can be a root chakra imbalance. And again, sometimes constipation can be a sign of root chakra imbalance too. Again, it's like the body tries to create and exert control where normally there should be ease and some flow. So bringing your attention to what's happening there can also be a sign and signal of what's happening in your energy systems too. So let's relax, surrender, and allow through the root chakra. And I want you to quietly say to yourself, I am safe and I am well. I am safe and I am well. Doesn't hurt to say it one more time. I am safe and I am well. Such a good, just simple mantra for right now to keep you connected and keep that root chakra balanced. And let's soften, allow, and surrender and relax through the hips, through your legs, to your knees, the tops of your legs over your knees, your calves and your shins, to your ankles, and the soles of your cute little feet, and your toes. And curl your toes up just a little bit. Yeah, back spasms a lot of times are sacral and root chakra situations. I am safe, I am well. I am safe and I am well. And again, just relaxing the legs, the feet, the toes. Softening, surrendering, allowing, calling in perfect health and wellness through the rest of the areas that we've gone through, the lower back, the large intestine, through the rectum, again looking at the output and what's happening and whether you're tightening up or releasing and surrendering, calling in healing and wellness through the legs, the hips, the knees, all the joints. If you have joint issues, this is a really good time just to imagine those joints opening and receiving energies of health and wellness and comfort and ease of movement and flow. And so to this beautiful body that you've been given, I want you to extend your gratitude right now. To our bodies, we thank you for carrying us through this life, for being the vehicle that we chose or that chose us. We give thanks to you. We vow to be gentler with you, kinder to you. We vow to appreciate you more and love you more, to resist you less. We vow to create space for you to move freely and to call for your healing in every moment. And to our guides and guardians, our angels and archangels, our ascended masters and teachers, and our ancestors who are with us, we ask you to bless our bodies today with perfect health and comfort and peace. Bless our minds so that we move through these days ahead with clarity and confidence, faith, a sense of trust and connection to ourselves and to each other. Bless our spirits with peace and rest. And in those moments where we feel like we've lost control, we ask that you remind us of the power of attention and intention to bring us back into the present moment and out of a state of fear or anxiety. We thank you for blessing us energetically. Help us to surround ourselves with others who can raise our vibration and remind us of our core essence and our truth. We ask you to protect our energetic fields, not only from this current situation, but also from unwanted energies from all sources and all dimensions. We ask for protection and comfort. We ask for these blessings upon ourselves and upon our loved ones. We ask for these blessings upon our communities. We ask for these blessings upon those who are working so hard to keep us safe, to provide what we need mentally, clinically, physically, and materially during this time. And we give thanks for health and wellness and peace and comfort that are already on their way. And together we say, Amen, Aho, and so it is. Amen, Aho, and so it is. It's as simple and as complex as that. And if your awareness came to a place in your body, like just maybe some discomfort, like noticing where that is, I want you to continue to work on it for a second. Like bring your awareness there, right? Like if you got a little cramp as we were doing it or something came up, it's like learn how to communicate and dialogue with your body, because it will tell you when it needs you. It will help to sort of guide your attention, right? It's very important to be paying attention and tuning in and then being responsive to your body. Again, being kinder than usual, gentler than usual with your body. A lot of us are finding ways to be all kinds of generous and gentle with other people, and then we're still not kind to ourselves. Well, I should be 5 pounds less. Well, I should have, it's like, this is a time for universal love. And as they say in Buddhism, if your compassion doesn't include yourself, then it's incomplete. You have to be included in that equation, right? Doesn't it feel good? Do you feel a little less kind of closed up? One thing I teach my students, and this might be helpful for you to know too, when humans feel afraid, they contract, they shut down. And that contraction is an energetic process that later manifests in many cases as illness and disease. In fact, I think this virus ultimately is a manifestation of our planetary contraction. That's really my theory. I think we have collectively contracted with so much trauma over so much time that this was manifest. I mean, there's almost no other way of thinking about it, right? So if we release the contraction, we release the resistance, because the resistance is what creates that unhealthy dynamic. So as soon as you stop resisting, guess what happens? Energy starts flowing. This is the foundation of acupuncture. This is the foundation of yoga. I mean, is getting energy to flow through the system, which releases pain and it releases disease. You have to stay in that flow. And one of the reasons I did this live and free and recorded is so that tomorrow or next Monday or whatever it is, a month from now, when you're like, God, I just want to go in and do that again, this is here for you perpetually so that you can have this experience and continue to stay in this lighter, easier place to be. This is always your choice. This doesn't have to be something that you are doing on Thursday at 4 p.m., but then by 6 p.m. you can't be here anymore. That's why I taught you, and that's my mantra for today. A lot of us feel out of control. But the reality is the only things you can control now and almost ever are your attention and your intention. Your intention is your wish for what you want to sense, feel, experience. And your attention is what you're thinking about, looking at, paying attention to. So those are the two things you can control, and you can instantly change your reality by changing those two things. So be very cautious, right? And be very discerning about where you place your attention and your intention. It's really, really, really important. That's what's working for me right now. And like I said, I feel good. It's a challenging time for me, just like it is for everybody else. But these are things that have carried me through some really challenging times in my life. I've had some really, really scary, challenging times. And so I'm not telling you this from a place of like, oh, my life's always been easy, but here, you should do this thing. It's like, no, this has gotten me through some pretty challenging and scary and overwhelming situations. In my case, more overwhelming than what we're going through right now. So I'm really, really glad that today was helpful for you. You made my day. Oh. Does anybody have any questions before I sign off for tonight? I know we're at our time. I want to tell you a couple of things. In an hour from now, I'm going to be live on Instagram doing intuitive crystal readings. I'm going to be choosing crystals for each person to work with intuitively. There's a crystal on sagegoddess.com that I think everybody needs. I've been telling my students about it. This is called Ancestralite, which is a combination of hematite and magnetite for manifesting grounding. And that's a stone you can find on sagegoddess.com. And everybody needs white sage. And we have really affordable white sage bundles on sagegoddess.com. The smoke is antibacterial and antimicrobial, and both of those things are 19% off with code SPRING19. So if you're looking for something to work with in terms of metaphysical tools, those are two easy recommendations for you. Does menopause change your chakras? I think it doesn't change your chakras, Michelle, but it does change your energy flow. And so one of the things you have to be more mindful, I'm noticing as I go through menopause too, is being more conscious about your breathing and your meditation, and also learning that your body starts to even digest food differently as you go through this period. So I'm finding that stretching, moving, doing yoga, eating better, hydrating more helps to improve the energy flow overall, because I do think that during menopause it becomes more challenging to experience energy flow the way we did before. It's a great question. Thanks for being here, you guys. I'm really, really glad. Yeah, so Melissa, that's the newest crystal to sagegoddess.com, and also probably the best crystal for this time to go through is that Ancestralite. But all your grounding stones are great. I love almandine garnet. It's one of my favorite grounding stones of all time. It's a really gentle grounding stone. It's not overwhelming. It's easy for most people to use and work with. If you want a really intense grounding stone, you'll want to work with black tourmaline maybe, or hematite's really good too. What am I filling my day with? That's a great question. Helping my team, supporting my team. We are continuing to ship orders to our community too, so I'm helping to make sure that we are staying organized on the business side. Spending time with my kids, a lot of time with my kids, trying to get outdoors, especially with Zoe, as much as possible. Cooking. I made 2 loaves of bread today. Had lunch with everybody right before we started. We had a little bit of a late lunch today. Spending time with my husband. We have coffee every morning together from about 9 to 10 a.m. and we kind of just share that space with each other. I'm trying not to fill my day with news. I try to watch the news once a day and then kind of click it off. So getting outside as much as possible. We're trying to take at least 1 walk every day. We're trying to drink tea in the afternoon and then take a walk around the block once or twice. Well, that's on the weekends, and right now they're on spring break. So that's been we haven't had much school because this is spring break, and then we've been bookended with 2 weekends. So we've only had the kids home with school happening for about 4 days. Otherwise, we've been on this break. So when school is in session, then yes. And they're doing Zoom starting on April 6th when they go back to school. So that'll be new for us. I've been an online teacher for a long time, so I'm trying to help them acclimate to learning in a virtual environment, because it is a big change going from having somebody in front of you in the classroom to being in a virtual setting. So we're helping them with homework and making sure that they're staying caught up with their class assignments. But it is kind of nice to be on spring break this week, I have to say. We're enjoying that too. Dina said, that I work in the healthcare supply chain. I feel like I cannot disconnect. Any advice to run that energy? So breath work would be really helpful for you, Dina. Trying to meditate as much as you can and keep your channel open, like I said. And keeping your energetic channel open is a function of meditation, breath work, and also mindful intention to keep your channel open and running efficiently. Try to move as much as you can. Physical movement supports energetic movement. And then just setting the intention. Remembering too, especially if you're in the healthcare setting, because I teach empaths, you know what I mean, who are constantly helping clients. One of the big mistakes that empaths make is they take on the energy of the people that they're working with, so that it almost becomes like their stuff. And so what I teach people to do is imagine that there is an avatar of you right next to you. Okay, like here's me, here's my avatar. Let their energy run through the avatar. Don't let the energy run right through your own channel. So sometimes if something's really heavy, I will sort of imagine that there's an avatar of me next to me, and I will let the energy that's happening run through that avatar. And all of a sudden it's like, whoo, I can get out of the way. Because the reality is, it's not you doing the healing anyway, right? I mean, I am a healer, but the only reason I'm a healer is because I know how to channel the real healer, right? Which is source energy. So when it feels like too much for you, because you're human and we all are, pull up your avatar and get out of the way and be like, whew, I'm so glad that energy is going right past, because that's actually what's happening anyway. But if you imagine it, or if you allow it to run through your own body, you're going to get real tired real fast. I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do with 1 million people around the world, which is what we have in our community, if it was all running through my own personal physical central channel. I wouldn't have been able to last a day, right? So always visualize me like, let that energy run right over to the other side, right? It's a great visual, isn't it? But it's actually really true. 5G protection tips. I don't know yet. I am concerned about 5G. And so we shall see. You know, I think of crystals that sort of mitigate EMF, you know, like amazonite's really good for that. Shungite's really good for that. Smoky quartz is good for mitigating electromagnetic frequencies. But I think it remains to be seen how we will work with the higher frequency, you know, the 5G that is going to be ubiquitous before too long, right? Any tips on how to help someone pass over a transition as easily as possible? You know, mantra is really good. It's a really beautiful way to help someone cross. You know, crossing is not easy. I think it's a very challenging thing, especially if it's a really close, connected loved one. So being as present as you can and trying to infuse that experience and that space with as much love and gratitude as possible. But it's also about really taking good care of yourself too when you're going through that, and recognizing that it's important to hold yourself and your emotions and your feelings, especially in the lower chakras, right? So Sandra's neighbor just gave her toilet paper. That's something worth celebrating today. How have I explained this to my kids? It's a great question, Heather, and thank you for asking it. You know, I talk to my kids about what's going on, mostly in the context of like, wash your hands, don't touch the boxes that are coming when we get a delivery, you know, but they understand that this is what's happening, that this virus is here, and that we're all doing the best we can to take good care of each other. And that, you know, I think there will be a time when we return to a version of normal, you know, so they won't always be apart from their friends, but for right now we have to do what's best for everybody on this planet. And that means taking care of ourselves and taking care of our space and taking care of our community so that everybody gets through this as well as possible. And then I keep asking my kids, how do you feel? Do you have any questions? How do you feel? Do you have any questions? And then I do my best to be as honest as I can, and as reassuring as I can too. You know, it's very important. Frankie's asking, can a beginner take your Crystal Masters class? Yes. So Crystal Masters is my most affordable online class. If you want more connection and community, you can register today. We actually don't have our first class until mid-April. It's $30 a month, and it's really designed for anyone, beginner or advanced. We just had a crystal sound activation ceremony yesterday where I played my singing bowls, and I asked them to choose a power crystal to activate the energies of their crystals. And so we've been doing a little bit more than usual just because we're trying to connect more with each other in the space, but you're always welcome to join. We would love to have you. We have a private Facebook group that Alexis and I moderate together, and it's a lot of fun. So Yeah, and now's the time. I mean, if you're home, at the end of the year, you're going to get a certificate as a crystal healer from Sage Goddess if you take Crystal Masters. So it's a fun way to, create a new profession for yourself if you want to, or just to expand your own learning and your own awareness. So if you'd like to join us, we sure would love to have you. And thank you for asking. Let's see if there's any other questions that I can answer right now. What's my favorite mantra? I recited the Gayatri Mantra with Diva Pramal and Mitten the other day. They've been doing it live on Instagram, and that's an invocation to light. It's spelled Gayatri, and it's I believe it's the oldest mantra to the Gayatri Mantra. It's a more complex mantra, but it's not hard to learn. And so it was a really beautiful experience. If you don't follow Diva Pramal and Mitten on Instagram, you should. And I think they're still doing their live recitation of that mantra. And you can watch the recording if you miss it, but it's absolutely beautiful. And when they say it 108 times, it fills every cell in your body with light. And I'll tell you, I feel better after I do it. So if you've been looking for something, else to do, and a way to learn Sanskrit too, which is a beautiful language, so rich with spiritual meaning, because in Sanskrit, the words have meaning, but the letters also have meaning. It's a dual meaning language. So as someone with linguistic training, which was part of my academic life, I have such an appreciation for the Sanskrit language. I love that. Judy's going to add some flowers to her sage bundle. I love that so much. So yeah, get your avatar. When the energy feels like it's too much, get out of the way. Remember, you don't have to run every single frequency, thought, experience through your physical body. That's why empaths end up getting really heavy. Because they're taking on all this energy, and what do? To try and handle it, they eat, because eating grounds them. And so they get freaked out, and then they eat, and they get freaked out, and then they eat, and they get freaked out, and then they eat. It's a very common experience with empaths. But if you get out of the way and you realize your body doesn't have to take the brunt of all of that energy, then you won't feel the need to eat when you're not hungry, just as a way of grounding yourself. So it's an interesting phenomenon that I've noticed over the decade that I've been doing this. And even with myself too. If I'm not mindful, I'll go to eat, and I'm not hungry, I'm just trying to ground. So try other things. Go outside, put your feet on the bare earth, hold some grounding crystals. But this is why empaths eat when they're not hungry. They're not hungry a lot of the time. They're trying to ground because they're holding all of your stuff and they're holding all of their own stuff. And eating is a comfortable, fun way of managing energy, but the implications for the body are very challenging, right? So, yeah, we'll link to that mantra, and also maybe to their Instagram account, so you can follow them too. Kenzie, I'll end with this question. She said, "How do I become stronger as an empath?" Stay with this experience. This cosmic awakening that we're going through, if you allow it to, is going to open your third eye in ways you didn't even imagine. We are all learning, and this has been one of the biggest lessons for me of this experience. We're learning that because we can't see each other right now as much, we're learning how to feel each other. And that is a psychic gift. We're learning how to be clairsentient. So just because I can't see somebody doesn't mean I don't feel them. And I've been noticing where my connection to people feels stronger in certain cases, and then my connection to people feels a little weaker in certain cases. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And I think it's more accurate. Because if you see someone all the time, you might feel like there's a really strong connection to them. But then when you stop seeing them, you're like, maybe it wasn't as strong as I thought it was. And vice versa is true. You might think because you don't see someone all the time that you're not going to stay as connected. And then you find out, wow, I'm more connected to them than I ever was. It's kind of an interesting test of your energetic relationships, this experience. But if you allow this time to do its thing, it's going to enhance your psychic gifts, I promise you. Yeah, the eating thing, you guys, is 1,000% spot on. And every time you go to eat when you're not hungry, I want you to ask yourself, am I hungry or am I overwhelmed? And if you're overwhelmed, go outside, put your feet on the ground, find a crystal, say, I am safe, I am well. Imagine your root chakra, right? Sit down on the floor. Call your energy into present time. Am I hungry or am I overwhelmed? And you'll find that you make really different choices. And if you're hungry, eat, for goodness sake. I mean, I'm Greek. I'm not going to keep you from your food. But if you're overwhelmed, eating is not what you're really wanting. What you're wanting is to not feel overwhelmed. And so get out your avatar and give your body a break, right? You might be overwhelmed. I'll leave you with this. I really feel for us right now, because we don't know really what the coming weeks will bring. So I just want you to know that I personally am holding space for you and for your families, and I'm here as someone who just wants you to know that you're not alone. You are not alone. Some of you are quarantining by yourselves, and I'm sure that's challenging. And so if you need support, one of the beautiful things about the work that I do is we really are here to support you. And so lean in, come join our communities. We want to be a source of support for you. Even if you just come in and join one of our online classes just for the next month or two, you know what I mean? Just so that we can lean in and be a closer source of support for you. And then if you're good in May or June and you don't need it anymore, then you can go at that time. But we have had actually quite a few new people join our community. We're in the process of welcoming them now, just because they want some additional support. And that's what I'm here to provide, that here in this context right now, and also in those programs in an ongoing way. But I see you. I really do see you, and I appreciate you, and I have such compassion for you as a fellow traveler of this planet at this time. But I'm also really grateful that you showed up at the same time I did, that I get to walk this planet with you right now. As I think on the other side of this, we will all say to ourselves, we did that. We made it. We faced that. We got through that. We learned how to manage our emotions in a new way, in a better way. And I think all of us will benefit from that. I really, really do. All right, you guys, I will see you at 5 p.m. on Instagram. I hope. I'm looking forward to it. Just doing some, like I said, live intuitive crystal readings. I haven't done that before. It's kind of going to be a new fun experience. So if you have an hour from 5 to 6, I'll see you then. And in the meantime, have a beautiful rest of your evening. We're here for you, and all will be well. That I know for sure. Mind your attention and your intention. That's how you'll stay sane during this process. And I'll see you soon. So much love. Thank you, Team SG, Hannah, Alexis, and Claire for being there too. I'll see you soon.